I was born biologically female. I began transitioning and taking hormones when I was 18 years old. Growing up, I couldn't pinpoint what my issues were, and then I realized that it might be a gender issue.
You've had the surgery. What does it feel like to miss your penis?
I 100% feel like I was part of some cruel medical and social experiment. I wish somebody hugged me a few years back and be like, you know what, you can present feminine, you can wear heels, hair, whatever you want, but the sad reality, we don't have technology to make you an actual woman.
My name is Chloe Cole, and I am a detransitioner. Another way to put that would be, I used to believe that I was born in the wrong body, and the adults in my life whom I trusted affirmed my belief, and this caused me lifelong, irreversible harm.
Hey everyone! Welcome back to the Pride Collection, where we dive into meaningful conversations in the LGBTQ community. Today, we're delving into a thought-provoking topic that's been making waves: detransitioning. We want to open up a genuine dialogue about the choices teenagers make when it comes to transitioning. Now, transitioning is a deeply personal journey, and for some, it's a crucial part of self-discovery. But let's be real, should teenagers be making such impactful decisions so early in the game? We're not here to judge, we're here to spark a thoughtful conversation. Before we jump into the discussion, let's keep it respectful and considerate. We're all here to learn from each other's experiences and share our thoughts. In this eye-opening clip, Ryan shares a personal journey of transition and detransition. As a teen, she bravely embarked on the path from female to male, only to realize later that she made an epic mistake.
I just stated that I had gender dysphoria and they gave me testosterone a week later. Before I went on hormone therapy, I wasn't required to see any therapist or any sort of a doctor at all. So about a year and a half after I was on hormones, I decided to see a therapist about getting approval for top surgery. I walked in on one appointment for half an hour, and then she emailed my insurance for approval, just like that. Even at this point, when I was passing as a man, I still had these doubts in the back of my mind that said, what if you're wrong? What if you made a mistake? In the end, I decided not to do the surgery. At that point that I decided to detransition and live my life as a woman again. Even as an adult, it took me a long time to figure out who I was and who I wanted to be. Kids especially need to see a therapist before making any sort of permanent medical decisions like going on hormone blockers and surgeries especially. I mean, they don't even know what they want for dinner the next day, let alone what gender they are. The biggest mistake that I made was that I did not get the right amount of therapy or medical advice needed. These days, if you tell a parent if their child thinks that they might be transgender or has gender dysphoria, to wait and really consider it and maybe seek other therapy, you're just seen as transphobic now because you're not accepting people. I'm not anti-trans at all. I support the trans community very much, but I also support medical responsibility.
In this emotional interview clip, we hear from Shapeshifter, who presents as feminine. He underwent sexual reassignment surgery, but now shared deep regrets about that decision.
Part of your kind of transition horror story here is that you have a neovagina that isn't working properly, you have osteoporosis.
And scoliosis.
And scoliosis.
That was formed
So,
recently, yeah.
can you talk about that?
I mean, it's transphobic to say, but after I've been through the system, I 100% feel like I was part of some cruel medical and social experiment. Except for nobody checked on me, and if I offed myself, I would not even be included in any statistics. I'm sure they would just write me off as some other issues. So when trans community says regret rate is 1% and complication rate is 1%, that's bullshit.
It is bullshit.
Bullshit, and you guys need to hear this. But what they don't really tell you is that the body treats you as a wound.
It tries to close up.
Yes, constantly trying to close up. In my case, it started shutting down right away pretty much. So I got a revision. Like a few months later, I was back on operating table, and I got blamed at the time that you didn't dilate enough, even though I was religiously dilating and I couldn't understand it, just patient blamed pretty much.
So this is really intense for me to hear all this, obviously. It's so interesting because obviously we're coming from different sides of the coin to where transition was a correct decision for me, and trying to place myself in the shoes of someone who it's not is very emotional. I'm so sorry this has happened to you. I don't know what else to say. I mean, you've had the surgery. What does it feel like to miss your penis?
Honestly, like I didn't miss it up until I started I missed it, but I couldn't admit it to myself. It was like a sunk cost fallacy. And then I started having phantom limb thing happening. I would wake up in the morning and have dreams about having a penis. And then I would wake up and not have it. And it was just such a mirror situation because when I was convinced I was a woman, I was like remembering how I was a kid waking up dreaming I had a vagina. And now I'm like, I wish I could go back. I made a huge mistake, but I realized I will never be able to get back my penis, and it's very traumatic realization, and it's super sad. I mean, I don't want to like a pity party, but it is sad. Like, I mean, I fucked my life kind of. I could have been so much more vibrant person and could have accomplished so much more, And I do miss my full sex drive, and I honestly can't even take too much testosterone because it will give me more sexual desires, and I can't really experience all that because it's traumatic. And honestly, moving forward, I don't even know like what hormones I'm gonna be on. And I told them that I was not happy with my transition. I was trying to get in touch with one of the therapists who gave me letters, and nobody even gave me his email. So yeah, it's like they really don't care. It's like they don't want to even know, because why? It's a big industry. All the surgeons.
And it only is a bad look for them to have a patient say, I regret this.
Right, because it doesn't align with the general narrative, because it will make a lot of people reconsider if that's the right step for them. I don't feel like the future generation needs to become woman just to feel accepted and feeling on demand. It's like trans became this hot label. It's like being trans is hot. Like people will cast you in the movies and you'll do well in porn and you'll have all these opportunities, but feminine boys don't get the same opportunities.
People like you didn't exist a few years ago. Like there was not this wave of detransitioners, and now it's starting, and I feel like it's a train that is just going and going, and until people acknowledge that it's happening, it's just gonna keep getting worse.
Yeah, honestly, this needs to stop till more research is done.
Yeah.
In this clip, detransitioner Chloe Cole speaks before a House subcommittee on July 27th, 2023. She shares a personal journey, discussing feeling wrongly encouraged to transition and the heavy impact on her and her family.
I speak to you today as a victim of one of the biggest medical scandals in the history of the United States of America. I speak to you in the hope that you will have the courage to bring the scandal to an end and ensure that other vulnerable teenagers, children, and young adults don't go through what I went through. At the age of 12, I began to experience what my medical team would later diagnose as gender dysphoria. I was well into an early puberty, and I was very uncomfortable with the changes that were happening to my body. I was intimidated by male attention, and when I told my parents that I felt like a boy, in retrospect, all I meant was that I hated puberty, that I wanted this newfound sexual attention to go away, that I looked up to my brothers a little bit more than I did to my sisters. I came out as transgender in a letter I sent on the dining room table. My parents were immediately concerned. They felt like they needed to get outside help from medical professionals, but this proved to be a mistake. It immediately set our entire family down a path of ideologically motivated deceit and coercion. The gender specialist I was taken to see told my parents that I needed to be put on puberty-blocking drugs right away. They asked my parents a simple question: would you rather have a dead daughter or a living transgender son? The choice was enough for my parents to let their guard down, and in retrospect, I can't blame them. This was the moment that we all became victims of so-called gender-affirming care. A month later, when I was 13, I had my first testosterone injection. It's caused permanent changes to my body. My voice will forever be deeper, my jawline sharper, my nose longer, my bone structure permanently masculinized, my Adam's apple more prominent, my fertility unknown. I look in the mirror sometimes and I feel like a monster. I had a double mastectomy at 15. They tested my amputated breast for cancer. And I was cancer-free, of course. I was perfectly healthy. There was nothing wrong with my still developing body or my breasts, other than that, as an insecure teenage girl, I felt awkward about it. After my breasts were taken away from me, the tissue was incinerated. After surgery, my grades in school plummeted. Everything that I went through did nothing to address my underlying mental health issues that I had. And my doctors, with their theories on gender, thought that all my problems would go away as soon as I was surgically transformed into something that vaguely resembled a boy. Their theories were wrong. The drugs and surgeries changed my body, but they did not and could not change the basic reality that I am and forever will be a female. When my specialist first told my parents that they could have a dead daughter or a live transgender son, I wasn't suicidal. I was a happy child who struggled because she was different. However, at 16, after my surgery, I did become suicidal. I'm doing better now, but my parents almost got the dead daughter promised to them by my doctors. My doctors had almost created the very nightmare they said they were trying to avoid. So what message do I want to bring to American teenagers and their families? I didn't need to be lied to. I needed compassion. I needed to be loved. I needed to be given therapy to help me work through my issues, not affirm to my delusion that by transforming into a boy, it would solve all my problems. We need to stop telling 12-year-olds that they were born wrong, that they are right to reject their own bodies and feel uncomfortable with their own skin. We need to stop telling children that puberty is an option, that they can choose what kind of puberty they will go through, just so they can choose what clothes to wear or what music to listen to. Puberty is a rite of passage to adulthood, not a disease to be mitigated. Today, I should be at home with my family celebrating my 19th birthday, and instead I'm making a desperate plea to my elected representatives. Learn the lessons from other medical scandals like the opioid crisis, to recognize that doctors are human too, and sometimes they are wrong. My childhood was ruined along with thousands of detransitioners that I know through our networks. This needs to stop. You alone can stop it. Enough children have already been victimized by this barbaric pseudoscience. Please let me be your final warning. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us on this impactful journey through diverse stories of transition and detransition. These personal narratives shed light on the complexities individuals may face within the LGBTQ community. Now, we want to hear from you. Share your thoughts, reflections, or personal experiences in the comments below. Your perspective matters, and we're all about creating a supportive space for dialogue. And hey, if you or someone you know wants to share their own transition or detransition story on our channel, check out the description for ways to get in touch. You can also send us a message on our social media platforms, linked in our bio. We believe in the power of stories, and your voice is an essential part of the conversation. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more engaging content, and stay tuned for future discussions. Until next time, take care and keep the conversation going.